how all this started. The shop, the cars, everything is I was 15 years old and my parents bought me a truck. And it wasn't a fancy truck. I've still got it to this day. It was a 2007 Classic Chevy Silverado, cat eyes white. Roll them up windows. It's a work truck. No CD player, no tape player, just radio. It was about as bare stock as you can buy a truck. I mean, it was. I think they bought it for like $5,500 in '09, and it was '07. It was slightly used, had like 15,000 miles on it. But y'all know what I'm talking about, like the cheap work truck. And that's how all this started. Me, messing with cars, anything. Cause I know nothing about cars then. And it was a nice newer truck, but it was like plain Jane can get. And so going up through high school, all my buddies was always buying junkers and doing something to them. We'd go to the junkyard and get parts on a Saturday, and we spray paint I don't know how many cars in a buddy of mine's front yard in the suburbs over here in Moulton. Yep. And I ended up, when I was 18, my senior year, I was debating on trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And I said, you know what? I think I want to paint cars. It ain't that easy. it was way more into all this than I ever thought. But I said, man, I think I want to learn how to paint cars. So in 2011, I graduated high school, and I went to Nashville Auto Diesel College. And I think it's called something else now, Lincoln, or it may have been bought out, or maybe shut down. I hadn't checked on it in a while. And so I went down there and learned how to paint cars. And I learned very, 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 very little about actually how to paint cars and fix and body work and all that kind of stuff. But I was able to practice on some stuff and learn some stuff when I did get in the shop. I wasn't completely not knowing nothing. That's how me getting into actually working on cars kind of started. And I went there for, I think it was 14 months, something like that. We went to class almost every single day through the week, so you got done with it pretty quick. It wasn't me spending 3 or 4 years going to college. It was kind of get in there, learn what I was able to learn, which was a little bit, but not a lot. I was definitely not prepared to leave college, come home, and start working on cars unsupervised or painting without any help or anything. I definitely didn't learn that much. But so I got out of college, and my first job, I was under a painter. It was called a painter's helper. I was kind of like an apprentice, and basically the painter told me to do something, I did it. And I washed a lot of cars and sanding and buffing and taping. And then you get to trimming out a little bit, which is like painting the insides of parts, where it's not as crucial, but you get practice spraying and setting up the gun and things like that. And so I went from there. I was 19. I kind of juggled, worked one place for about a year or two, went somewhere else, make a little bit more money. Done that for a year or two, went somewhere else, make a little bit more money. And that was kind of the name of the game. But being also around a couple different shops, you learned a couple different things, because different guys do this stuff differently, and everybody's always got some tips and tricks. So I was blessed to work a couple different places and learn a couple different ways to do the exact same thing. And to this day, there's sometimes where I do it one way, sometimes where I do it another way. I worked at 5 or 6 shops here and there from time I was 19 to time I was, I was probably 20, 28, 29, something like that. And ended up building my own shop. And I built my own shop, and the shop's a 40 by 60, because I never was able to work on my trucks or anything like that. And so I want to be able, like most guys that work on cars for a living, their stuff's rough. If you guys watching this video and you work on cars for a living, whether you're a mechanic or a body man or a painter, you drive a rougher vehicle, I feel you, man. I feel you. That's pretty much every body man painter I've ever known drives some rough stuff. And I don't know why we're like that, but we are. So I built the shop because I just really want to work on some of my own stuff. I've wanted a shop ever since I was 18, but never could really get around to, affording it or, being able to do it. So we finally got kind of all our stuff together, and I built one. And blessed to have what I have. It's really nice, and it's a humongous shop. You tear apart 4 or 5 cars, it feels like it's a real small shop, but it's a real big shop, and got a paint booth and all that good stuff. But I really wasn't meant to kind of go full time like I did. Of course, life happens, and plans. Funny things about plans is they always changing. Plans are always changing. That's the only thing I know about planning is you plan for it to change. But so a good friend of mine, he works on some world class drag cars. World class. I mean, very, very high end, very, very fast cars. Extremely professional. And I had done some paint work at another shop for him before, and I had done some paint work for him before here, and I worked at another shop, and he ended up having a car come up and needed a little front end work done, and it was while my shop was being built. I didn't even have a shop quite yet. I had my post was in the ground. I don't even think I had 10 on the building, and so we done all the work in his shop. He does not have a paint shop. He's chassis, building drag cars, that kind of thing, and it ended up working out pretty slick. Car come out real nice. Car lit the world on fire when it was first came out in the Pro 275 market. I believe it was Pro 275. And so then we kind of done another one, and then it ended up a couple months later, I finally had my shop where I was able to work out of it, and I had a bunch of people stopping by here and there wanting to kind of build hot rods and do hot rod work. And I'd never really done it before. Everybody always told me to stay away from it, but I didn't really have insurance or the estimating software or, like the money to finance jobs here and there. Because some of these jobs, the parts are ridiculous how much it costs. You do 3-4 jobs at one time, you can have bukus of money tied up in a hood and a headlight and a fender for one job, and maybe a couple doors on another job, and it can be pretty wild. But back in, I didn't really know how to do all that, so I was just doing hot rod work. And hot rod work is really rewarding, but it is slow. It takes, or it does for me, and everybody I've ever known that does some pretty slick all-overs or builds, hot rods or restoration, you can spend thousands and thousands of man-hours on one vehicle, on from start to finish, and months and months and months and months and months. And that's still pretty cool too, but it's a little bit of a mental aspect of looking at the same thing day in, day out, or working on a vehicle all week long and knowing you put in a solid 40 hours, and from Monday to Friday it really don't look no different, that it looks just like it did on Monday. And there's a certain mental aspect to that. And then we kind of got into, a friend of mine had a wreck, and done the insurance job, and done another one, and started kind of getting the hang of navigating the insurance, whether it's some of the good insurance companies or some of the bad insurance companies. It can be tricky, and I'm still learning a lot on that end. But that's how kind of we got where we are now. Is a lot of luck, doing the right thing, and working really, really hard. And the next endeavor I really kind of want to get into is doing some of this YouTube stuff. A lot of people are doing it. They're having a lot of fun doing it. There's a couple of these channels I watch. What are they? Goon Squad's one of them. Them dudes seem to be having a blast doing the same thing I'm doing pretty much, but they're buying the cars themselves, and they're not working on cars for people. They're buying wrecks, having fun fixing them, and giving them away or selling them or just having blast. And there's 2 other ones, and I can't remember them for the life of me. I'll think about them after the video. But that's kind of the next thing I really don't want to get into, is buying a wreck and fixing it myself, because I've never, ever since I've had this shop, I've never painted not one thing for myself. Not a door handle, a mirror. I got a tailgate that I bought for the truck I was telling y'all about, and I went ahead and cut the structure out because I was going to shape the handle to where the handle would be on the inside. I cut a hole in it to where I got the handle out, and I cut the structure out. And I don't think, that was like 2 years ago, and I don't think I've got any farther on it at all. We've just been so busy, constantly, running the business and fixing cars, because it's just me at the shop. I get some help every now and again from a part-time guy, but it's not like real constant. I might get them 1 week, and then I might not have them for a month. I might get them a few days here, a few days there. So 95% of the time, it's just me at the shop doing everything. And between the actual work and the insurance and all that stuff. But we're fixing to hop off here on a pretty rough road. Just where we live at, it's kind of rough. I've been on the highway in town talking to y'all. But I really appreciate everybody that's been, watching the videos. I'm trying to get better at filming some of the stuff and editing, and it can be kind of tricky. It's a little bit trickier than what I thought. Everybody makes it look way easier than what it really is, but I guess that's kind of life too on stuff. People think, and me included, me being people. I'll see somebody do something, man, ain't that hard, and then I try to do it. I'm like, this is ridiculous how hard this is. And but I appreciate you guys watching. Any questions, leave them in the comments. Any ideas or advice, man, leave them in there too. I had one of my buddies that was watching this telling me, he's like, man, you putting some weird music in there. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I was kind of thinking like that on after I did the video on just kind of how sporadic it was, and so I've been kind of trying to not do that so much. And we've got some cool jobs coming up. I just kind of got to juggle everything to where I can film it and film it right, and kind of show you guys what's going on, and trying to get better at regularly posting, whether it's every week or 2 a week or something like that. But thanks for watching again. Any questions, like I said, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next video, and hopefully the next video will be better than this one, and then the one after that will be better than that one, and we can just all have a blast and enjoy doing what I do, which is getting to work on cars and getting to paint them.